These are the back of two Stonepoint tunics. This one already has a lace in it, and as you can see, I did more rounds on the bottom to make this one longer. This is hem tape. I will show you pictures of the hem tape, and you don't have to use that, but I suggest a washable ribbon just so you don't have to take it out. I don't like taking them out. There's no reason to do that. And this is between a 1X and a 2X. It's clipped around the front. And this is an extra large. And as you can see, I made it the 10 rounds, the 10 rounds on the bottom instead of the longer. So this is standard, but you can always add more. I'll show you the bottom of this. So this is the back of two different tunics, white and off-white. There is hem tape that works with the Bernay Handicrafter white. This works really great. And the off-white, there's hem tape for the Bernay Handicrafter. The other ones, if in doubt, I made a burgundy one. I use black. So they have black hem tape also. So you can always do that. It actually makes it more pronounced. So there isn't, as you can see, there's no special place to put it. It's how you want it done, but it does need to be even, and it's preferable to have it end right here. That's where you want it to end. And see, this one ends right here. And so that's preferable, however many X's you want. Like this one, for instance, I probably would make these wider. I probably would make the X's wider. So let's get started. You're going to want this about 2.5 or 3 yards. The packages of hem tape come in that. Now this is a bright ribbon, just so you can see. So, I mean, make it super long. Let me see. I'm sorry, I can't get it. This is 3 yards, and it's like from the back of the neck down to the floor. How about that? So it's 3 yards. You can do the math on that. And I'm using something bright, two-sided to maybe kind of help you. This isn't tricky. It just looks different than what you would expect. Okay, so now this is worked vertically, as you remember. So we're going to want to go straight up from, find your center clusters. See these? 1, 2, 3. Find the center clusters. And then you're going to go straight up from there. Make sure you stay in there in the, along that row. Because remember, the rows go up this way, so it'll be easy to find. So here's your center. And decide how far you want to go on either side of your center. And, like this one, I would have made wider. Okay. So this top part is going to be a little bit wider because of your trim. So I'm going to go, but go on the same amount. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to go 3. 1, 2, 3. So go the same amount and pick a spot. And you can always undo it. But this one has been washed, and it just stays like that. If you use ribbon, it might be different, but I've always used hem tape just because I'm super lazy. So here's our center. Remember, 1, 2, 3. So we're going to go here. Now, the trick is, and there's not much of a trick. It's pretty easy. The trick is to fold it over, and that's why I use 2 different sided. So fold it over so it stays nice. So this is the back, and this is the front, and you can fold it over. And see how I made these bigger across? It really depends on what you want. If you like it bigger, or try it. I'm kind of exaggerating things. Now, just so you know, I like to move these down just a little bit to have the X a little bit bigger. So I like to space these down, but you're going to have to stay in the same row. See how the rows go down? and they are going to get a little smaller here because you know this is kind of tapered and it's a little bit wider up here. So they're going to get smaller, which is a great effect, but you need to just stay down here and count the same amount down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I would suggest 8, but you need to end up in a certain spot, and so just poke this through. And you know, it's easier to do when it's, you know, on your lap, but and so then do the same thing down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 right here. Sorry, that's around, I'm leaving that over the back so you can just see it. Okay, and you know, and you may have a seam on yours. I don't have a seam on the side of mine, so the front side and the back side are going to look, the inside and outside are going to look pretty similar. So pull that over like that, and I'll show you the first, this is the first X. Okay, and this is how the back looks. The back will look almost the same. So mark, so then you're going to do the same thing, but you're going to want to fold this. So you want to fold it like this, so that it lays the way you want. And then you're going to want to go 8 more down and bring it through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and bring it through. So start off a little wider than what you had planned on your X, simply because it is wider at the top. But you can redo it. It doesn't matter at all. And then this will fold over this way. So I'm going to bring this through. I'm going to go 8 down just like I did the first one. And you can split the difference a little bit, because it doesn't matter how many, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It doesn't matter how many stitches you go down, because remember these are rows and these are stitches. It doesn't matter, but you do need to end up right in here. You do need to end up right in here, and you have a little leeway. You have a little variances. Now look, see how my ends aren't even? Just slide them through and even them out. It's super easy to do. You know, just even them out, and I never do, you know. So I'm making bigger X's and going down further. So I would probably have undone this and gone down a little bit further, but remember, it needs to be flat on both sides and then flip it over. Flat on both sides and flip it over. And then I'm going to move down to here. I'm going to go 8 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And I have to lace these up. A lot of times more than once. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Simply because you know, your measurement is from your shoulder down to your hips. So everybody's length measurement, that first measurement you take, is going to be a little bit different. So you can have as many X's as you want, or you can have as few X's as you want. This is a demonstration, so it's up to you. And you know, I like them a little narrower rather than a little wider. I'm not sure why. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you may have realized that you could do this on any sweater, whether you made it or not, if you want. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So now see, I ended up just about right, where you want this distance to be about the same as this distance here. And because you need to be coming out about the same distance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. See, it's pretty close. And then 8 is right here. So it's pretty close to where we want it. But make sure you go straight down here. 1, 2, 3, 4. But make sure you follow this down here. And you have a little leeway. You can put your bow down here if you want. So this makes it exactly 8. for me. But you have a little 1 stitch leeway either way if you want, because that won't be noticeable to the eye. But you do need to make it like equally across from here and straight down, so you do need to make that equal. And then there will be one more kind of important thing on this. See how I have 1, 2, 3, 4 here, and then I have 1, 2, 3 here. You can wrap it around, and you need to come back out so that the bow is on the outside. So if you end up this way, you're going to need to wrap it over and bring it out each side. So obviously an even number would be a little bit better, but this will show you the gist of it. See, and you can be anywhere around this part, if you can see it, anywhere around this part. Let me move this down just a little bit. Oops. Let me see if I can move that down for you just a little bit. There you go. Okay, so I did a wrap on the back like this. You do not have to. This one doesn't because it has an even number, so it just crosses over the back and comes out. It's a little bit hard to see. So an even number is going to make you just come out the back, and then this one you can cross over. So it's not complicated, and it's not real particular, but I'm going to show you what to do with the ends of this. So just tie a bow, but instead of going over this way, go around the opposite way, and it'll lay nice. I don't even undo the bow to wash it. I put these I have bleach these things. I put them in the washer and dryer, as long as you use the Brene Handicrafter yarn. If you use a different yarn, you obviously have to follow the directions. But since my hem tape, or if you need to use a ribbon, they have the same washing instructions. That works out. So do not cut this until you have it laced in how you want, which this isn't great, obviously. Laced in exactly how you want, and you have a big bow tied. Don't cut it. And then you're going to want to cut it right about, you're going to want to cut it, it's up to you, but I cut it right at the end here. Okay, so I will cut it here, and I will cut it at an angle. Now I'm going to pause this camera and show you a close-up. So I'm going to cut it at the bottom edge of here at an angle, and then I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so this is the hem tape that is in the other one, not the ribbon. Of course, I wasn't going to pull that out. But what happens is it frays like this. Okay, so remember I told you cut it at an angle at the bottom, so we're going to go ahead and cut this. And, ooh, I thought I had my sharp scissors. So cut it in an angle at the bottom edge of your garment. And we're going to cut it at an angle again. And you could always cut it a little long and then make sure your cut's pretty good, but it doesn't have to be perfect. We just don't want it to fray. Because these are made with polyester, it melts. Cotton burns. So cotton will catch on fire, but polyester will melt. So get you a lighter of any kind and just gently melt this. Let me pause this and turn off the ceiling fan. Helpful hint, don't do this indoors with a ceiling fan on, apparently. Okay, so I'm going to try and give you guys a really close-up without burning. Okay, so we're just going to melt, not burn. We're going to melt this edge along here. And you'll just see it shrink a little. Now see, I over-melted it a little bit. And it's curved like that because I overdid it a little bit. Now I can go up and melt this in a little bit, or just shape it. Mess with it a little bit. Cut yours a little bit longer than what you wanted. Now see, that's not working. So the great part is cut it a few inches longer, and then you can always, here, oops, let me get in frame. You can always just recut it and do it again, which I always have to do. Okay, recut it. And then that'll give you kind of, every fabric is a little bit different, but all your ribbons, this is what you can do to keep them all from fraying, but it can't be 100% cotton. So see how this melts just a little bit? And if you feel it, it's, well, now feel it and see, and you can see if it melted or not, and it didn't. I didn't melt it well enough. See, it'll fray right out like that. So let's do this again. It's actually good. Here, let me make this a little bit more intense. It's actually good that I didn't quite melt this right. It's kind of hard to do in a camera, but that way you guys can see. And you can do this with anything that has a polyester fabric in it. That's the great part. And so this doesn't just work for ribbon, but you know, and so you can see now, you can see this kind of melt. Okay, now see how those frayed ends kind of melted off, and you'll be able to feel a little ridge, but you don't want it black, you don't want it dark or black, so you've got to have to kind of work with it just a little bit, so leave yourself a little room to melt it. Now see, this is melted. And so we're just melting a little edge onto it too. And there is glue for this kind of stuff, but it won't hold up to washing. If you do it this way, it'll just stay this way forever. I have one tunic that I have washed, I can't even count how many times I washed it. And this just stays like this. And we're going to be doing some things with ribbons in the back in the future. So it's good if you kind of know how to lace things and how to melt them. So see, now when I run my fingers over it, I can feel that little melted ridge, and it doesn't fray back out. So you can always run your fingers over it and make sure that you melted it properly. And that's all there is to lacing up the back of a tunic or anything you want to add a pretty lace to.